I can tell that we are gonna be friends. I can tell that we are gonna be friends.
Hello everybody, and welcome to a brand new series on my channel that is all about personality and psychological behavior and disorders. I would like to start this off by saying that I am not a psychologist, but I am a psychology major and also a life coach. So it's really helpful to have all this information whenever you're in life coaching, just so that you're not overstepping any boundaries where a therapist should step in. Just as another disclaimer, this is a meta-analysis study, which means that I am taking the studies of everybody else and kind of putting them together using the DSM-5, which if you don't know what that is, it is basically the psychology Bible. Just to kind of validate everything that I'm saying, I'll put my sources in the link below. I suggest you check out the DSM-5. I think they have a lot of information on it on the internet. So anyway, this is a meta-analysis study. This is not my own, but in a way, it kind of is. So to get us started with this new series, I am going to be focusing today on psychological and emotional manipulation. To get us started, we're going to be talking about what a manipulator actually is. By definition, a manipulator is a person who controls or influences others in clever and unnoticeable ways. Psychological manipulation is a social influence that aims to change behavior of others through deceptive and or abusive tactics. So with that being said, manipulators are very deceitful. They want you to believe whatever they are telling you at any cost. They are very, very controlling people. They have a persistence to need control in every area of their life. They're self-efficient, which means that they're independent, even whenever they don't really have a plan. Anything to just make you believe that they are the greatest thing on the face of the planet is enough for them. They are extremely compelling, which means that they are very charismatic, they hold themselves well, and they kind of hold this sense of superiority over everybody else. With that being said, they are very self-conscious people, which means that they are very vain. They always want to make sure that they look good, sound good, smell good, etc., etc., etc. With that being said, they are also very paranoid that people are seeing right through their facade. They are always concerned that there is somebody that doesn't like them or who just doesn't think that they're the greatest thing. And then on top of all of that, they're usually very emotionally numb people. They have a very hard time expressing or even feeling deep feelings such as grief or love. So now let's look at some really easy ways to spot emotional manipulators. They use flirtation and attraction to gain control over others. They can be completely unpredictable in every area of their lives, whether it's emotions or their schedule or whatever. They're just highly unpredictable people. You never know when they're going to show up and you never know what they're going to do. They highly enjoy fighting, whether it is small little arguments over things that don't really matter or if it's huge fistfights. Anything to kind of show that they have control over a situation, or if they are just feeling like they need more power over somebody, fighting is usually the way that they gain that. With that being said, they can hold grudges like a champ, so it doesn't really matter what you've done to change the situation. They can still be mad at you over something that really doesn't matter for years upon years. They have a need for control so badly that they're willing to be stuck in an unhealthy situation for a very long period of time, just simply trying to fix the other person in the situation. This is especially true in relationships. They have a tendency to want to stick around and make sure that that person's okay, but in reality, it's just because they want to gain more control over that person because they know that they're weak. However, psychological manipulators do have some good points to them too. They get things done, especially if it's in their own mindset of success. If they think that it's something worth pursuing, they're going to pursue it with all they've got. And also, they are very highly respected by others, just because of the facade that they've built up. They're known as being the cute people, the smart people, the people who've got it all together. In reality, it may or may not be true, but that is just the wool that they've pulled over people's eyes is, I'm smart, I'm fun to be around, everybody loves me, so in that way, they gain a whole lot of respect. Dr. George Simon, in his book In Sheep's Clothing, tells us that whenever you're out to win, dominate, or control, but are subtle, underhanded, and deceptive enough to hide your true intentions, your behavior is labeled as covertly aggressive. Avoiding any overt display of aggression while at the same time intimidating others into giving you what you want is a powerful manipulative maneuver. In other words, it is super easy to fall victim to manipulation just because their aggression isn't super noticeable. Even if we're suspicious of their actions, we don't always have enough evidence to get us the help that we really need. We can't validate our feelings or come up with a good excuse for our seemingly overreactive responses. With overreaction, or quote-unquote overreaction in mind, something that manipulative people are very good at is what is called gaslighting. This is whenever you manipulate someone so much that they are starting to question their own sanity. Manipulators like to use phrases like, "You're just being overdramatic," or "That's what you heard, not what I said," or "Quit blowing everything out of proportion." And what this does to their victim is cause them to believe that they're totally helpless without their manipulator. They start questioning, okay, well, maybe they're right. Maybe I am just overreacting. Maybe it's really not that big of a deal. But in reality, this is just giving them more control over your life. There are 3 types of personality disorder that really show manipulation in its truest form. The first of those is sociopathic, or also known as antisocial disorder in the DSM-5 now. These are people who have a lack of conscience. They show little emotion and are constantly showing no regard for anybody else's feelings, thoughts, or desires. Then we have borderline disorder, who have a constant instability in mood, behavior, self-image, functioning, insecurity, impulsiveness, and impaired social relationships. And then obviously our narcissists are very good manipulators. These people have an excessive need for admiration. They disregard others' feelings like the sociopath. They have an inability to handle criticism, and they hold a sense of entitlement. These are just a few personality disorders that really show manipulation. Obviously, you can be a manipulator without being one of those 3, and there are other personality disorders that also hold the characteristic of manipulator. So, smart people on the internet have given some of these characteristics a name, and I have put them to kind of decipher which personality disorder would most likely hold each one of these types of manipulator. So for borderline disorder, we have the constant victim. This is an individual who always finds a way to be the attacked. Even if you are the one that is feeling attacked, they will figure out a way to turn it around and make it seem like you are the one at fault and like you are the one that is causing all of these problems. Not them. They're innocent. They have totally done nothing to deserve any of this, and you're just being a bully. Then we have the powerful dependents. These are people who spend their time hiding behind a mask to make you believe that they are weak and dependent upon you. This is causing you to show more sympathy for them than you regularly would. And they send out a message of like, you can't let me down. You can't let me go. This is especially true of people who make suicidal claims. Obviously, every claim of suicide should be taken very seriously, and that person should see a therapist immediately. But with manipulators, you can't always guarantee that they're actually feeling that way. They could just be using that to manipulate you. But like I said, every suicidal claim should be taken extremely seriously. So then for the narcissists, you have the one-up expert. These are the people who will put you down to show superiority. If you say that you've accomplished something, well, they've accomplished something bigger. These are also the triangulators. They get people on their side, making you feel like you are outnumbered. They especially target your friends and your family to kind of make you feel like you're a little bit isolated from those that you really love. And these are especially the projectors. These people show no ownership over any flaws. They believe that they are perfect and that everybody else is wrong. So if you were feeling like they're a manipulator, well, you don't know what all's going on in their life, and you don't know what all they've had to deal with, and they're handling everything perfectly and everything's fine, which is not always true. And then for the antisocial and sociopathic, we have the blasters. These are people who blow up unexpectedly, leaving you not much of a chance to ask any questions or to get any clarification on what's going on. This prevents any kind of showdown or conflict from you. They may just kind of explode one day and you have absolutely no idea what's going on. They won't offer any kind of explanation for it because that's just the way that they feel, and that's all that matters. These people are also the iron fists. They will intimidate and scare you into getting their way. These people are usually very abusive, plate smashers, glass throwers, window breakers. These people are also the flirts. They'll use words of affirmation or so-called kind words into making sure that they get what they want from you. But they really give no concern over what your wants and desires are. They're just the sweet talkers. Then you have the purposeful misinterpreters. They seem like nice people, but they have a tendency to twist your words and give incorrect information about you to others. This kind of goes hand in hand with a triangulator. They are just kind of out to destroy your entire world. And then, of course, you have your multiple offender, which is somebody who changes from tactic to tactic just to keep you confused and unable to properly respond to each attack. In marriage and dating relationships, these can look like people who make you feel guilty for absolutely everything. Everything that you do upsets them, and it's all your fault. The fact that they show manipulative tendencies is even your fault, because if you weren't so horrible, then they wouldn't have to control you so much. They may or may not force their own securities on you. They might make excuses based on their past experiences, which is why you're not allowed to have friends of the opposite sex or not immediately respond to their text messages. These people are also known to make you doubt yourself a lot. This goes with gaslighting. They get you so used to being so submissive and unopinionated that you can't even trust yourself to make a good decision. You no longer trust yourself to have an opinion, so you constantly have to rely on them to make your decisions for you. They can also attempt to make you want what they want. This is different from a compromise that's healthy in all relationships, but this is where they make you confuse your desires for their desires. You're making a whole lot more sacrifices for the relationship, and it's not even for the health of the relationship. It's just to keep them happy or because you feel bad for them. So now that you know what a manipulator looks like, what do you do about it? To understand a manipulator, you have to understand their constant need for control. If this isn't already a deal breaker for you, or if you can't cut off the relationship for any reason, you have to be assertive and decisive in the relationship. You have to understand that their wants and needs are probably always going to come first. You have to be comfortable with letting them run the show. Compromise is always necessary to get along with manipulators. But adding a balance to the relationship will also give you an open door to see some of your manipulators' better qualities and kind of give you an opportunity to throw your opinion in there too. I suggest giving subtle hints of things that you would like, but always making it sound like it's something that they brought up. So like for an example, if you just got done eating dinner and it was their idea, you could go, wow, this was a great choice for dinner tonight. What do you think about burgers tomorrow? And so then you get what you want, and they think that they've inspired this idea in your head. So they're going like, yeah, no, that's fine. So it kind of gives a little bit more of a balance to the whole situation, to where you're allowed a little bit more control, and they still think that they have some kind of power over you. So then we have the situation of, well, what if I'm the manipulator? What if I'm the one that's doing all of this horrible stuff to other people and I'm just not realizing it? My very first suggestion is go see a therapist about it, because there is probably something that happened either in your past or something recently that's come up to make you desire this sense of control, and it's not healthy, and it's something that needs to be dealt with. So I would first and foremost suggest that you go see a professional about it who will be able to help you. But if it's not that severe, just remind yourself that kindness and emotion do not equal weakness. You are not a weak person because you show these qualities. And it's also not a sense of loss of control. You are still powerful people who have great suggestions to offer. But letting somebody else throw in their opinion every now and then isn't going to hurt anything. Even if you don't think that it's the best choice, or if it's not what you exactly want, then that's okay. Nothing's the end of the world but the end of the world. So I hope all of you have enjoyed this first installment of personality and psychological behaviors and disorders. I'm not really sure what next week's video is going to look like, but I'm sure I'll give you all an update. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe if you enjoyed this video, and also check me out on all of my social medias. Always remember to stay fantastic and stick to your foundations.